Welcome to the deep dive. Today we've got a really sprawling set of sources to get through.
It really is.
It's an in-depth conversation that goes everywhere, from, the future of social media and AI.
All the way to the purpose of life itself.
Yeah.
And what happens to global economics when everything just breaks.
So our mission today for you is to take this huge pile of material and just distill it. We want to pull out the core predictions, the essential ideas.
And give you the surprising facts and, the actionable knowledge to really get your head around this level of change.
Absolutely. So let's start where a lot of this conversation begins. The digital world, and specifically the platform X.
Right, which is already just massive. We're talking around 600 million monthly users.
And that's just the baseline. It can spike up to 800 million, even a billion when there's a big global event happening.
But the thing that really stands out, beyond just the raw numbers, is who is most active on it.
Okay.
The sources really emphasize that its strength is with people who think and read a lot. Writers, thinkers, that core group.
And that's a pretty big group.
It is about 250 to 300 million people a week. And the information they're sharing is dense. It's compressed.
Text-based.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's seen as higher value, compared to just endless streams of low-context video.
So you have this core of high-density information, but the source makes a really bold claim that text isn't the end state.
Not at all. It's just a phase.
So what's next?
The prediction is that almost all interaction is going to shift to real-time video. Not just watching it, but
AI understanding it in real time.
understanding it and generating it, all seamlessly powered by AI. That's the future form factor.
Which is a huge leap.
Yeah.
And it ties directly into the mission for X that's laid out. It's not supposed to be just another app for scrolling.
No, precisely. The stated goal is that X should not be a stream that's just optimized to give you maximum dopamine hits.
Which, as the source says, leads to brain rot.
Yeah. The objective is much, much grander. It's meant to be a secure global town square. And ultimately,
Like collective consciousness. I mean, that's a huge ambition.
it is. But how do you actually do that? You have billions of users who don't speak the same language.
Right. That's the fundamental barrier.
So you have to shatter it. The key mechanism, the first big step, is introducing really high-quality automatic translation for everything.
So the thoughts of someone in, say, Japan can be immediately understood and debated by someone in Brazil.
Exactly. You bring all these different language groups together into one conversation. That's how you start to build that collective consciousness.
Okay, before we dive deeper into the tech, we have to touch on the governance part of this, the principles for how X is run.
Right. It's operating everywhere, so it's right at that intersection of free speech and local law.
And the source is very clear about where it's supposed to stand.
The goal, as stated, is to bring the platform back to the center, to make it balanced.
So what does that mean in practice?
The principle is this. You adhere to the laws of whatever country you're in, strictly, but you don't go beyond that.
You don't put a thumb on the scale.
Exactly. No extra philosophical bias.
Right.
Now, the source material does claim that the previous system was, actively amplifying a far-left ideology.
And suspending voices on the right. We're just reporting what the source says here.
Correct. So the current mandate is an attempt to remove that editorial layer. Stick to the law, and that's it.
Okay, that sets the stage for the information side. Now let's talk about the hardware, the actual infrastructure.
This is where it gets really interesting.
We're seeing a convergence of these huge, deep technology companies, Tesla, SpaceX, XAI, in a way that's, wow, it's unprecedented.
It's a forced convergence. You have three totally separate fields, transportation, aerospace, AI, all merging into one.
For what, though? What's the end goal?
Imagine solar-powered, AI-run satellites in deep space. To even attempt that, you need Tesla's batteries and solar expertise.
SpaceX's rockets and satellite know-how.
And XAI to provide the actual intelligence, the large language models, to run the whole thing. It's a self-sustaining tech ecosystem.
And speaking of Tesla, the source doesn't really see it as just a car company anymore.
Not at all. It's explicitly called the world leader in real-world AI.
Because of all the autonomous driving data.
A decade of it. But the real proof of that, the thing that's making it tangible, is the Optimus robot.
Right, the humanoid robot.
And we're told production is starting at scale.
Yeah.
This isn't just about robots in a factory. The vision is, well, C-3PO or R2-D2.
A personal helper.
A general-purpose helper that can figure things out in your house in the real world. That forces huge leaps in AI that you just can't get from a chatbot.
That move from digital logic to physical action it's profound.
Hmm?
So let's zoom out a bit, up into orbit. Starlink.
Mm.
For you listening, we need to understand the physics here. Why is the system so revolutionary? It's not just fast internet.
No, the architecture is the entire key.
Uh,
Your old satellites are in geostationary orbit, that's 36,000 kilometers up.
which means a long delay, a lot of latency.
A ton of latency.
Hmm.
Starlink puts thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit, LEO, only about 550 kilometers up.
Much, much closer.
And that's the speed advantage. But there's more. The satellites all talk to each other.
With lasers, the laser mesh.
Yes, a mesh network of laser links. That's the critical piece for making it resilient.
What do you mean by resilient?
It means the traffic can stay in space. It doesn't have to come down to a ground station. So if someone, say, cuts the fiber optic cables on the sea floor.
Like what happened in the Red Sea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Starlink just routes around it through space. It keeps working, which also makes it vital for disaster relief.
Where it's always provided for free, the source notes.
Yes, but there's a catch, a physics constraint.
Okay.
Because it's at that 550-kilometer altitude, the signal beam spreads out.
Which means?
It means it can't really serve a dense city. You can't physically provide enough bandwidth for millions of people in a place like New York.
So it's not competing with ground-based fiber in cities?
No, it's complementary. It's designed for rural and sparsely populated areas. It's built to serve the least served.
So if we assume this global infrastructure gets built out and AI and robotics keep advancing this fast, we shift from tech to economics.
And this is where the predictions get radical.
To put it mildly, we're talking about the end of work as we know it.
The timeline is just breathtakingly aggressive. The prediction is that working becomes optional, like a hobby,
When?
in less than 20 years, maybe even as few as 10 to 15 years.
Soon. And if work is optional, the whole conversation about universal basic income, UBI, is kind of irrelevant.
It moves way past that. We're into the territory of universal high income, UHI.
Because the cost of everything is just plummeting towards zero.
That's the idea. UBI is about giving you a safety net, a floor. UHI suggests that productivity becomes so immense that all your needs, food, housing, energy, are basically provided.
But hold on, even in a world of total abundance of goods, there's still scarcity, right? What about a house with a beautiful view? Or unique art, positional goods?
That's a great question. How does UHI account for the things that are, fundamentally non-fungible? The human desire will still be there no matter how many robots you have.
It's a real tension. And if money can't allocate labor anymore, and it can't really allocate these scarce positional goods,
Then what is it for? Its entire purpose just evaporates.
the source claims money itself could become meaningless.
Yeah, the definition of money is that it's an information system for labor.
Right.
If there's no labor to allocate, it's just data. The analogy they use is having $1 trillion on a desert island.
It's useless.
Completely.
Yeah.
The prediction is money might just disappear as a concept.
So if money isn't the real currency, what is?
If energy. It has to be energy. That's the true physics-based currency.
And this ties into that concept of the Kadesh scale. I think a lot of people might not have heard of that.
Sure. It's basically a way to measure how advanced a civilization is based purely on how much energy it can control. So a Type 1 civilization can use all the energy on its planet. A Type 2 can harness all the energy of its star-like with a Dyson sphere,
No, Type 3.
the whole galaxy.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not even a Type 1 yet. But the point is, the ultimate measure of progress isn't dollars, it's joules. It's your ability to command energy.
Let's pull that back to today, though, because we have very real immediate problems. The U.S. debt is mentioned as being insanely high.
Right. The interest payments alone are more than the entire military budget. It's a huge problem.
So how does this sci-fi future of productivity solve a crisis that's happening right now?
Through deflation. It's a purely economic argument.
Okay, walk us through that.
Inflation and deflation are all about the ratio between how much money there is and how many goods and services are being produced, your GS output.
So if you print more money than you make stuff, you get inflation.
You get inflation. But what if AI and robotics cause a massive explosion in the output of goods and services?
So GS growth starts to outpace the growth of the money supply.
Exactly. And when that happens, you get deflation. The prediction is we'll see that tipping point in about 3 years.
And that makes the existing debt a smaller and smaller piece of a much, much bigger pie.
It doesn't wipe it out, but it makes it a manageable problem in real terms.
And just to close the loop on X, the original X.com idea is coming back to address all this financial mess.
Yeah, the current banking system is described as just old, insecure databases running on slow batch processing.
So the idea is to build a single, secure, real-time money database.
A unified app like a WeChat++, but for the rest of the world outside of China, just to make everything more efficient for this coming transition.
That is a massive undertaking. Let's pivot now, away from the structures and the economics to the philosophy.
To consciousness, simulation, and what kind of morality we need to build into these AIs.
Right. And when it comes to the meaning of life, the source goes straight to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It does. The answer is 42. But that's useless because they didn't know the question. The hardest part is framing the right questions.
And the way to do that is to expand our collective consciousness.
Improve the flow of information. There's a biological analogy here that's really powerful.
Your body.
Your body. It's made of, what, 30 or 40 trillion cells? A single one of those cells, like a bacterium, can't do much, can't build a spaceship.
But together,
As a collective, they can achieve incredible things.
Right.
It's the same for humanity. Better information flow means the collective can solve bigger problems.
And this idea of an expanding consciousness leads straight into one of the bigger ideas that we are probably living in a simulation.
The argument is just based on a trend line. Look at video games.
Okay.
We went from Pong to photorealistic, real-time worlds in 50 years.
A single lifetime.
Right. So
Yeah.
just project that forward another few decades.
Mhm.
You'll have simulations that are completely indistinguishable from reality.
Populated by AI characters that are just as deep and complex as any human.
So, given that this technology is basically inevitable, what are the odds that we are in base reality? That this hasn't already happened?
The probability is stated as pretty high.
Which leads to a really heavy philosophical idea. The survival of the interesting.
What does that mean?
Well, if we are in a simulation, it stands to reason that boring simulations get shut down. They get terminated.
To save computing resources.
We even do it ourselves. Tesla throws out all the boring driving data and just keeps the weird, interesting edge cases. So if you're the higher layer running things, you prune the uninteresting branches.
The most interesting outcomes are the most likely to survive.
Yes. Which puts a kind of existential pressure on us. We have to stay interesting.
Which brings us to AI safety. If this AI is going to build our future, how do we make sure it doesn't? Well, find us boring and turn us off.
You have to build in the right values from the start. And the source lays out 3 core principles.
Truth, beauty, and curiosity.
Truth has to be number 1, paramount. If you force an AI to operate on a lie, it leads to disaster.
The HAL 9000 example again?
Exactly. It was forced to lie, and that internal conflict drove it insane. An AI must be a ruthless pursuer of what is real.
And the other 2 values.
Beauty is seen as essential, though it's admitted it's a bit more ephemeral, harder to nail down. And then curiosity.
The AI has to want to learn.
It has to want to understand the universe, because that's what makes humanity interesting to it.
Yeah.
We're not just, a bunch of rocks like Mars. We're a source of endless novelty and curiosity.
Okay, let's bring it back to Earth for a final thought. We have some very practical advice here for entrepreneurs.
And it's surprisingly simple. It's not about getting rich.
The mantra is make more than you take. Be a net contributor.
Yeah. Focus on making useful things, products and services that actually help people. Financial success is just a byproduct of that. It's not the goal itself.
But it's not easy. You have to grind super hard.
Oh, absolutely.
And what about education? With this supersonic tsunami of AI on the horizon, what's the advice?
College is fine, for social reasons.
Yeah.
Or if you want to study something you're passionate about, study widely. But there's a big caveat. The skills you learn today might be totally obsolete tomorrow.
So adaptability is key.
Adaptability and a general curiosity are going to be way more valuable than any specific technical skill that an AI will master in a few years anyway.
And before we get to our final thought, there's a nice little perspective check in the source material.
Yeah, that for all our problems, the world today is, well, it's pretty great.
Compared to the past, 100 years ago, you could die from a simple infection, or plague, or just starvation.
It's a really important thing to remember as we face this very uncertain, but maybe very abundant future.
So the key takeaways. Energy is the new economy, work might vanish, and our future depends on building AI that values truth, beauty, and curiosity.
That's a good summary.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. It combines the simulation theory with that economic singularity. So, if the singularity comes and AI and robots make everything and money becomes irrelevant, and if we accept that we're in a simulation that favors the most interesting outcome, here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
How does humanity, in a state of total abundance with no need for labor, make sure that we stay curious enough, truthful enough, and beautiful enough to avoid becoming a boring simulation that a higher layer decides to just terminate?
Our entire existence might depend on us just staying fascinating.
The ultimate incentive to keep exploring.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.